In this video, I'm going to show you how to go in and clean up your exported grade center grades that you grabbed from Blackboard. So the first thing you're going to notice that obviously you've got extra content that you don't want. You have information that is the column lists are too small. You might decide that you want to format the numbers a different way. One of the first things that I would do is go in and take the first row. So I'm going to select on the first row and do a wrap text. If you have an older version of Excel, you might want to go to Format Cells, and under, I think it was text alignment, you would use the wrap text option to get the text to wrap around within the cells. Now, one of the things you're going to notice is each one of these headings in here has some extra text. So to edit this, you would double click on the cell and you can select the extra text and delete it and then hit enter. And you can do that to each one of your columns to go in and kind of clean them up. Alright. The other thing is you're going to notice that the last access column has a different format, so you can't see what the date is. So I'm going to click on the letter for the column to select the whole column, and up here in the number format I'm going to go in and pick short date. If you were using an older version, you would go to Format Cells and go into the Number tab and pick short date in there underneath the list of options that you could use. You could pick short date and OK that, and this way you'll be able to see the dates for the students. The other thing that you might have is yourself in there as a test student, so I would want to get rid of that row. So you're going to right click on the row number and do delete to get rid of that row. If you have an extra column that you don't want, you can right click on the column letter and delete that. If you have data you don't want, you can select it and delete it. If I want to format my numbers, I can select the whole sheet. There's a little button up in the upper left hand corner above the number 1 and to the left of the letter A to select all. And I can go into my number format and decide how I want those to look. At this point right now they're percentages, but basically what I want to do is just decrease the decimal places. Alright, it doesn't want to do it because of the different lengths here, so I'm going to go into I went into this right here, and under number I'm going to use percentage, and I'm going to decrease it down to 2 decimal places and hit OK. And that cleans up your numbers a little bit. If you want to change column widths, you go up in between the columns and you can click and drag, change the column widths. Okay. If you decide you want to take the text and rotate it, I can select the text. There's a rotate tool in here, and I can do rotate up, and it will turn it sideways so I can make the column width smaller if I need to. Alright, so that's one way. Now when I just did the whole thing, I screwed up my last access, so I want to change that back into a short date. Okay. So those are some of the things you might want to do just to kind of clean up your spreadsheet. Okay, this is part 2 to cleaning up your exported Blackboard Grade Center file. At this point you've cleaned it up and now you're ready to go in and print it out. Now at this point you probably have a lot of columns, a lot of grades that you're going to be printing out. You can, one of the first things that I would recommend is, we haven't saved this, so I'm going to go into File and do a Save As. Now what I want to do is change the format of the file to an Excel worksheet, and I'm going to save it as my actual course, just so that I know. I'm going to throw it on my desktop right now and save it. Okay, now I want to go in and I'm going to set it up to print it out on as few pages as possible. So I'm going to go into File and go to Print. Now any version that you're using, you're going to go to the same thing, and now actually in the older versions I would do File, Page Setup, and I'm going to go to Page Setup here so you'll see the same menus. So first thing I would do is change it under Page to Landscape. Then I would go into Margins, and I would set all my margins to 0.25 to make them smaller. And I would not change the, don't worry about the headers and footers. Okay. Now I would recommend going in and turning the grid lines on for the sheet so that you get lines in between each one of the grades, which I think is a good idea. Okay, and I can hit OK and I can preview it, see how it looks. Now at this point I can see that's actually going to print out on 6 pages. So one of the other things I might want to do is when I go into page setup, I have the option to, I don't want to make it fit to one page by one page because it would make it too small, but maybe if I take it down to about 75%, I might be able to eliminate a couple pages. Okay, so by going down 75%, I just went down to 2 pages for it. So it's kind of up to you how you want to do this, but you know, if you want to take it up to 3 pages or whatever, it's up to you. Okay, and then you would just tell it to print. If you're using one of the older versions, it's just be file print, and you could print it out at this point. So that's how you can go in and print out your large Grade Center exported file.